Welcome to Shifted Reality, Season 1, Episode 5. Get ready to witness the launch of Phase 3 expansion of our castle base. Alongside my family, we're driving into the intricate process of laying the foundation and crafting a mesmerizing mosaic floor using Minecraft's most colorful but challenging block. Stay tuned to the very end to see how it turns out. Now that we are all moved in, I have started to prepare for Phase 3 expansion. Now, I may have mentioned it before, but the plan for Phase 3 is a library. And as you can see, I have extended out the bridge that's going to connect from our storage to our library section. And underneath of it, I have built out this area that I themed around a blacksmith shop. So you have your coal forge here where you heat your metal, you come over here, you work it on the iron, you have your tool bench, sharpener for get your weapons nice and sharp, and I even put in a tiny little house here that will hopefully soon be home for two little villagers to work happily in this area. But I do have one problem. This spot right here, it was supposed to be kind of a continuous flame. If I take this out, you can see I had netherrack here and I had lit that up and it created a nice little flame aspect. A little one, it helped like keep the area lit during the night so no mobs would spawn in this area, and two, it just kind of looked nice. It always had little flames. But I didn't want the smoke that the campfires create. However, it continually lights this wooden arch and this wooden arch on fire, and I don't know how to stop that. Do I need to just replace the walls with solid blocks, or replace the slabs with solid blocks? I'm not really sure how I keep the fire to be contained in there. So if you know and understand the fire spread rules in Minecraft Bedrock Edition, please leave your comments below as to how I can fix it so I can have my eternal flame but not have it burning down my arches. So as we talked about, we want to do a library on our castle, right?
Yeah.
When I think library, there's one that I think of as the epitome of fancy library, and that is the one from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, it does look like a pretty cool library, doesn't it?
What kind of elements do you see here that we need to make sure we incorporate?
Lots of colors, lots of blue, and spiral stairs.
I can do spiral stairs because I did the spiral stairs on the storage room, but I think in this limited space and the dynamics of Minecraft, just doing a staircase that goes up, platforms, turns, and goes back up the other way in more of a square pattern might work better.
Yeah, we could do that.
And you kind of notice it almost looks like there's like 4 different wings. Like this, like if you look at this from the top down, it would probably be more of a H pattern, right?
Yeah, it does look like an H, doesn't it?
What about the floor here? That's a
From the looks of it, if we're thinking about Minecraft, then yeah, we could probably use like some terracotta for the floor.
glazed terracotta.
Yeah, glazed terracotta, that's what I meant.
That is a hard item to use, but
yeah.
I think we could probably figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
For the ceiling, should we use like is that like a prismarine ceiling, or do you think there's like 2 levels to that?
I think it'd be like a prismarine, since like it's like kind of like a greenish bluish, and that would match the vibe, you know? Now for the lion statues, I'm not too sure what we're gonna do about that, if we want to incorporate that into the library too.
Yeah, getting large lion statues like that might be a little bit tricky in the limited block choice of Minecraft.
We could do like something with ender dragon heads.
Well, that could work. But I haven't gone raid busting yet. Would you go raid busting with me to get ender dragon heads?
Sure.
And there we have the start of the foundation laid out. You can see on the upper side of the screen how we kind of curved it in and laid that out. Now, once again, I'm extending over the edges of the cliff on the outside as well as on the inside. And I did debate about doing another massive dig out, just like we did with the storage rooms. But seeing as how we haven't fully utilized that space yet, I don't really see a benefit to doing a massive build out for this. So I'm going to take a different approach in how I build it and incorporate it into the existing terrain. Though I did put in the foundation staple support beams, but beyond that, I think what I should actually start on is the terracotta floor my daughter was asking for, because that is probably going to be the most complex thing. It'll be the easiest to do while I have it laid out. I'm not being distracted by walls, bookshelves, staircases, all that stuff. Just figure out how I'm doing that terracotta floor. This is going to take a while. My daughter was watching one of my recent episodes, and she saw something that she didn't recognize. When I put something into, say, the stone cutter, I get this little green book. And she's like, Dad, what is that? Well, it's a little utility I got from the website Bedrock Tweaks that allows you to just, instead of just clicking here one at a time, you can just click that once and it converts everything into whatever you have selected. It's just a nifty little utility that saves a tiny bit of time on an otherwise arduous process of transferring a lot of materials or making a lot of items. Now I'm going to use those stone slabs in order to make a neutral foundation to build the terracotta flooring on. But before I do that, I have to dig down about 2 layers. One layer is for the stone slabs, and the second layer is for the terracotta to be on even footing with the blacksmith shops that we added on previously. I like terracotta. It is one of the most vibrant, colorful blocks available in Minecraft. However, because of its patterning, it can also be one of the more difficult ones to work with. Now in this case, from my previous server builds, you can tell that there was a easy contrast. If you're doing small mural patterns like this, where you're just creating a block that's going to be separated by a completely different non-terracotta block and you just want it repeating down a hallway, it becomes pretty easy to set up. And in some cases, the smaller you go with your terracotta, the easier it is to create a design element, such as this 2x4 pattern, which I was trying to depict some sort of ancient Atlantean king or god of some sort. You can kind of see the legs, the arms, the face, and the crown that he is wearing. It's simple, it works, it blends together. And one of the ways you make it work better is by looking at where the color matches. So the blue lines into the blue of the light blue glazed terracotta lines up with the white glazed terracotta where the blue lines up. The yellow kind of blends with the yellow of the yellow glazed terracotta. And then the yellow glazed terracotta has this brown half circle on the bottom of it, which blends into the brown glazed terracotta. So it allows the eye to connect the pieces to create the image of our ancient Atlantean god or king. Now another example of where it's easy to use terracotta is this mural I made on my drowned farm, on a previous drowned farm. because it's supposed to be viewed from a distance, and you can kind of see, you're mainly just looking at matching the colors so you get the vibrancy in the pattern. And then having it in the different directions, not really caring if it lines up or not, that adds to, the further away you look at it, the easier it is to blend it together in your eye. So we come around up close, you can see how sometimes it was going the same direction, sometimes I changed it. Didn't really worry too much about blending one color to the color next to it, just because ultimately it didn't matter. It just had to have the general color to trick the eye from a distance into creating the imagery of a drowned. So where am I going with all this? Well, this all leads into why I am doing something I almost never do, which is entering into a creative world to plan out the next stage of my build. I like to keep things freeform. I like to work as I'm building, because I oftentimes, if I do a lot of building in creative and then I come back and try and put it into a survival world, it just feels like I just wasted twice the amount of time for half the effort. So I kind of build as I go. But in the case of using terracotta for something like a floor, which is long stretches of repeating patterns that has to blend together, which is what my daughter asked for in the library, that becomes a lot more complicated. It's probably one of the most complicated ways to use glazed terracotta. So now you see here where we have been working at building this out and testing what could look good for the floor. And again, I follow the same general rules. Look for similar colors to blend to other colors. Where you can't, you have this corner square that kind of blends into the curve on the green glazed terracotta, and that same curve on the green terracotta allows it to transition to the gray terracotta to create this snake-like pattern along the floor, which I rather like how that came out. And then I needed something to contrast and different. If I put the orange terracotta next to orange terracotta, you start getting these half orange slices, which I wanted to avoid. And I went through a couple iterations before I settled on the yellow terracotta sunburst pattern. And ultimately I decided to go this way, because the other option would be to reverse it so that you have that brown circle in the middle and the yellow on the outside. And at first, I was thinking maybe I could alternate or have this one, because I thought the yellow would work with the orange. But if you look, none of these yellow pixels really perfectly matches up with the orange, except for maybe like right there and right there. But otherwise you get a very jarring straight line across. Whilst over here, you can tell this line here kind of blends in a little bit better with less of a jarring contrast. You don't have it as a sharp. So like these two pixels that are kitty corner to each other mostly match, and these pixels match. And I see it's the same over here. And the brown that goes between these quarter circle lines is the same color as this. It makes that whole transition, this whole corner, blend in with that change. Oops. So that when you come through here and you're walking along, it kind of tricks the eye, especially as you're walking or if you're moving faster, that it is a solid transition. So I'm just walking through here. I'm like, oh, the tricks the eye blends. But creating these long patterns between different types of terracotta to not have them just jarringly stand out as different. And sometimes you have to utilize where the pattern is the same but the color is completely different. So like the center square is almost the same, but the light gray kind of meets the light blue, the dark gray meets the dark blue, then the dark gray meets the white. I mean, that's like boom, jarring difference there at the very outermost layer. But because it's the same pattern of a square, it blends in a little bit better and comes out overall as, again, working once you start moving at a faster pace through it. So that's how I designed the floor of the library. And if the next episode is late, you can pretty much guarantee it's because of the time it's going to take me to collect this amount of terracotta to dye it, glaze it in a furnace, and lay it all out, because every single one of these has to be boom, 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 in a very specific facing to create the patterns. Well, so I weighed my options and I thought a little bit about it as to where would be the best place to get the terracotta we need for my daughter's terracotta floor in the library. And if you remember in the last episode, you happen to have seen the azalea tree we came across as we were searching for coal. And so I went back there, dug down, and I found a fair amount of clay in a lush cave. So I just loaded up here in our auto smelter. This should be the majority, if not all, the terracotta we need. We just need to smelt it, dye it, and then resmelt it into glazed terracotta. So here we go. I'm going to be AFK for a little while this does its thing. And we will come back once we start laying out our terracotta floor. You know what, at this point, I think the time has come that I should upgrade to some diamond tools. First things first, I need some weakness potions, and in order to get weakness potions, I need fermented spider eyes, 1 diamond, 2 slots. Alright, I will throw a diamond in here. I'll take 1 of each. Don't know why I'll need red mushrooms, but having some extra won't hurt, and it is inexpensive. But this is currently the only shop on the server, is the Mushroom Kingdoms, aka Mario Mushroom Kingdom, selling mushrooms, as well as 1-up tokens, aka Totems of Undying. I still think we need to have those retextured to look like green mushrooms, but that's just me. Oi. What are you doing in his boat? You're supposed to convert both of them. Lazy zombies. There we go, that's much better. Now, let's see, are they close enough to share a potion? Cure. Cure. And now we get our trades. As for naming them, subscribe and comment below if you would like me to name one of my villagers after you. In celebration of doubling our first episode subscriber count, I am going to name villagers after any subscriber that wants to have the honor of forever living in my castle as one of the villagers. And with that, I now have an unlimited supply of diamond tools from these 2 fine gentlemen who will keep me equipped throughout the rest of the series. Comment below if you want me to name one of these villagers after you, where they will live a happy life in this wonderful blacksmith workshop. Well, dear adventurers, it looks like we have reached a bit of a stopping point for our Phase 3 expansion, the Royal Library. Honestly, I was hoping to get a little bit more done with this one, but this took a bit more time, and we're coming in at 20 minutes. And I don't really think there's a whole lot more we can accomplish in the 10 or 15 minutes that we would have before we exceeded what I am hoping for as our max video length. So there's still a lot to do. We gotta figure out how to integrate the exterior of this library into our existing phase 1 and 2 builds of the castle. And I am still really pondering what it's going to take to translate those massive windows into Minecraft blocks. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts as to the best way to incorporate those windows into the build in the comments below. And as always, thank you for joining me in this shifted reality.